Hello and welcome to Reggie's Recess, where you get real talk about real relationships. Of course, I am your host, C. Reggie Rogers, renowned relationship coach, singles empowerment coach, radio show host, television show host, and author. Every week, I come to you with great guests and provocative topics. And this month, we are starting a new topic. This month is going to be so much fun. I've got some great guests lined up for you. And we're going to start a topic this month called the dating process. Mayflowers. We went through the April showers, and now we're going to go through some May flowers. And so we're going to talk about this process of dating, because getting a date is one task, but going out on a date is another task. So meeting someone face to face for the very first time can be a test, whether it can test to see if it's a romance and if romance is possible. And so, how do you go from one date and determine if there will be a second date and even a third date? Is it moving too quickly or neither? Because neither one wants to be overwhelmed. All of these questions, there's so much going on. And so, we're going to talk about this month the dating process, Mayflowers. And today on Reggie's Recess, my guest will be Dr. Randy D. Ward. We're going to have so much fun. And when I come back after this commercial, we will get into this dating process.
I am Ernest L. Thomas from the Waldens, and you need to download the Win Network app now, or else it's gonna be tragic. Tragic!
Now, if you have not downloaded the Win Network, you need to do so. You go to www.win, network. That's the winnetwork.com. If you have not downloaded it, please take the time to do so. There's so much free programming there, so many movies you can download, talk shows, sitcoms. There's so much there. So take the time to download it. And if you just want more of Reggie's Recess, you can get more of Reggie's Recess by going to the Win Network. I come on every day, Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on the Win Network. And so today, my guest is none other than Dr. Randy Ward. I want to introduce to some and present to others. She is a retired American language arts and gifted education teacher. She's an international speaker on more than 60 radio, video, and Zoom platforms. She's a certified harmony life coach, holistic emotional intelligence coach, NLP practitioner, and communication mastery certified coach. There's so much more. I just had to condense it. And when I looked at her resume, I was like, I got to condense this. Randy has done a whole lot. Hey, Randy, what's happening?
Hello, C. Reggie, and good afternoon from Atlanta, Georgia. The sun is
Atlanta.
out today. We've had bad weather the last 2 days, so I'm so happy that the sun is shining today.
You know what that means? It means Mayflowers.
Yes, it does.
So it's indicative of today's subject. We're going to be talking about that dating process and those Mayflowers. So you're in Atlanta, hot Atlanta.
Yes, it's hot Atlanta, but I understand from my friends who are still in the dating world, it's hard to find a date here. So we need to talk about that. I hear that all the time. It's hard to find men. I think the
Guess
women outnumber the men here.
Well, the last time that I looked at the numbers there, really, the last time that I looked at the numbers in terms of for every 12 women, there was one man
Yes.
in
Yes.
Atlanta. Every 12 women, there was one man.
Yes.
I need to move to Atlanta, Randy.
Yes.
Dr. Randy.
They would be fighting over you, Reggie.
This topic, I hand selected you, Dr. Randy, because I know you and I know we know each other, so we're not strangers. I've had the privilege of speaking with you, and you've actually edited my book. So, and I'm very grateful for that. My new book that'll be coming out. But I know your background, so I know that you were married for 47 years, right?
Yes.
But I want to know, what do you see? And it's ironic that we talked about in Atlanta. Your friends are saying how hard it is to meet a man, and but you know what? I don't just think that's Atlanta. I think that's the plight all across the country now. Um, and so I want to know from you, what are some of the differences in the dating process that you see now?
Oh my goodness. Remember, 47 years ago is like a different world. There was no internet. It was face-to-face dating. If you wanted to make a date, you had to go to her house and ask her or talk to her on the phone. And that wasn't video or a voice call. It was actually just hearing her voice. Emails did not exist, of course. No voice or video calls on social media. So it was really very personal. You couldn't just text somebody and say, "Hey, you want to go out?" We didn't. That never existed. So, and actually, when I met my husband, I was out with the girls. We were both in the university at Marsh University, and we were. I was out with the girls at one of the local hangouts. We do that, and he was out with the guys. And a mutual friend introduced us. And my husband actually told me this years later, that night he told me he'd met the girl he was going to marry. And 6 weeks later, he proposed. I accepted. 8 months after that, we were married on April Fool's Day at high noon. He never forgot.
Wow.
And we were married for 47 years until his death from lung cancer on December 15th, 2019.
Wow.
He
So
was the love of my life.
that's recent. And 47 years is a long time to be
Yes. Yes.
in a marriage with somebody and to be coupled. That's a long time.
Yes.
So obviously there's a secret there in regards to the longevity, because today people get angry today and tomorrow they want a divorce.
Yes.
There's a disagreement today and tomorrow there's a divorce.
Yes.
So you had what I call stick to itiveness, that
Yes.
longevity where the two of you were able to stick it out and hang in there. We don't see that today, Randy.
No.
Doctor, I
No, and
keep
it's
wanting to call you Randy because I know you, but Dr. Randy, we don't
no,
see
call me
that
Randy.
today.
Randy's fine. No, listen, that doesn't mean that every day we were smiling and cheerful with each other. We had our fights. I mean, we're human. We disagreed on things, but we always made it a policy never to go to bed angry because you would wake up angry. So we always resolved any conflicts we had before we went to bed. And like I said, we were two very different people, and I think that was wonderful because if you're too much alike, what do you have to share? You know what I'm saying? I mean, you have to have some differences to make it interesting. For instance, he loved to restore old cars. You would love his old cars, by the way. I still have some of them. I love to travel. We both love to travel, but I was more of the inside person online, and he loved to be outside. One of our success for our marriage is having two separate TVs. I'm a Hallmark Channel girl. He likes to count how many people die in the movie. So it's not saying that we were identical but we were soulmates. And I think in your book you called them twin mates. He was
Twin
my twin mate,
flames.
but that doesn't
Twin
mean
flames. Twin
yeah,
flames.
yeah, twin flame. But that doesn't mean that
My
we
mic
were
is a little
all
loud.
that we were alike. You know what I'm saying? We had differences, but our differences made us unique and made us love each other more. And believe me, we were both flawed. We had a lot of flaws, but at the same time, if you're going to be in a relationship, you have to decide, can I accept these flaws and love the person anyway? And if you can't, then that's when divorce happens. We chose to love each other's flaws and work through anything that we didn't like about each other and
And
live
see,
with
that's
it.
my mic is loud or something. I'm getting feedback. Maybe it's me. I think that's the epitome, really, Randy, of when two people meet. Because here's the thing, I think there's a misnomer. Uh, you don't want two people that are identical, because if two people are identical, that means somebody's obsolete. Okay.
Yes.
So I heard a friend of mine always says is his story and her story. So it's his story and her story colliding. So it's two histories colliding, coming together. So there were things that two people did prior to meeting each other. So you've got a story, he's got a story. They both have their stories. But the beauty of those two stories is you bring them together to weave what we call continuity
Yes.
and consistency. So when you can weave the continuity and the consistency, then we start to see some compatibility,
Yes. Yes.
right? So that's what we want to look for. I want to ask you something, because I'm curious. You guys met 47 years ago, and you said things have changed so much. What do you
Yes.
think about texting rather than talking?
Well, I guess I'm still old school, Reggie. To be honest with you, I mean, I'm having to do that with my friends. Maybe not for romantic reasons, but I'm having to do it. And at first, I hated it because I think it's so impersonal, especially being an English teacher when they go "are you," and I mean "are you." You don't even spell out the words properly, so that drives me crazy. but but I understand now that we all have such busy lifestyles, and it's so hard, as I said earlier, to meet people. And there's also all of these virtual long distance relationships going on now where people are in different countries and dating. It's insane. And all the dating sites, when you initially go into them, they require you to text. Social media requires texting. So even though I prefer the face to face, it's the way of the future. I mean, we have to get used to it, and I've accepted that it's okay, but I still think the old way is so much better. I mean, I'm so glad that Bill and I met face to face and actually got to touch each other and and interact, our faces and everything instead of this texting back and forth. Because one of the things you have to worry about with texting is that person you're texting really who he or she says he is? That's the
Yeah.
problem because there's a lot of people that pretend to be something that they're not. And people get themselves into relationships that are really ugly and very hurtful in the long run. So that's my caution for texting. You
And
don't know who you're texting.
I think that the social skills are now diminished,
Yes.
and you don't you don't get to utilize your social skills like you
Yes.
once were able to when we came along, or when we came
Yes.
up. um and when you text, you lose so much in a text. So many
Yes.
things can be taken, and there could be a disillusioned we can be disillusioned, thinking by making an assumption that somebody is thinking one thing and really actually saying something different. And
Right.
so I feel like you lose so much um, in a text. Um, when you came along, or even I'm old school too. I really prefer talking over texting any
Yes.
day. But it just, to me, you were able to really look a person eyeball to eyeball,
Yes.
and you could really hear the inflection of the voice
Yes.
to get an understanding of what this person was saying and where this person is coming from and the
Yes.
stance they were taking. It's hard now. The process
Yes.
is so much different now, because you see, every relationship, Dr. Randy, goes through dating stages, and we call these 5 stages of love.
Yes.
I've given stages before; those are my others. But with these 5 stages of love, I want to talk to you about this. In regards to meeting your husband, you said he knew right away that this was going to be his wife he met that night. So the first stage of these stages of love is attraction.
Yes.
How did that for the two of you? How did that happen for the two of you?
Well, honestly, I was dating somebody else who was away for the summer. So for him to steal me from this guy was pretty big. Um, that night, I mean, I liked Bill, but I wasn't that attracted to him. There wasn't that initial attraction like there was for him to me. But he chased me down on campus repeatedly, called me all the time, and I got to know his wonderful personality. And so, I think it was more a personality attraction than a physical attraction. Don't get me wrong, he was very handsome, but to me, I have to the inside of a person is more important than what I see on the outside, even in a man. I like to have a man that's genuine because there's a lot of handsome guys out there that I wouldn't even say hello to because I don't like who they are. You know what I'm saying? So I think
Right.
it was more of an emotional attraction than a physical attraction. I think initially his was probably a physical attraction and then it became an emotional attraction. Because how can you know somebody when you talk to them for like 10 minutes at a nightclub on a college campus? You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
I think it was a different kind of attraction for us. But because we spent a lot of time with each other, when you're in college, you get a lot of time because you see each other every day and you get to know each other very quickly. I think that's the reason we connected so quickly in 6 weeks and both knew this was the one for us.
So there wasn't the physical attraction, there was a personality attraction. We would
For
say,
me,
okay,
initially.
so we'll say the first stages of it, there has to be some type of an initial attraction, whether it's
Yes.
physical, whether it's mental, whether it's emotional, whether it's personality or personal. There has so
Yes.
the next stage would be dating. Okay, so now we're attracted to each other. Okay, so maybe we set up a date. So in that first stage of attraction, I utilize that as a meet and greet. Let's talk and let's create
Yes.
in the meet and greet aspect of, you know, realities. Is there chemistry? Is there a connection? And I need to see, is there a conversation flow? So it's in that initial attraction stage when we meet and greet. I want to detect or determine whether those C's are in place, the commonalities, the connection, the conversation, and the chemistry. The chemistry to me is um, what I call, there's a lot of hype to chemistry for a lot of people, and it's overrated. And I'm not minimizing it, but I'm saying it shouldn't be as overrated as it is because you're going to have chemistry with so many people, but you're not going to be connected to everybody. So
Yes.
those of you that are listening, don't overrate chemistry. I'm not saying minimize it, but I'm saying don't overrate it as well because you'll have chemistry with multiple people. So we got the attraction stage. So now, what happened in the next stage, which was a dating stage, Dr. Randy? How did that work?
Okay, well, we discovered because I'm a teacher, okay, and I had just graduated from my BA in language arts from Marshall University. So I was interested in finding out who he was and what he wanted to do, his dreams, his goals. So we talked a lot about that, and we've discovered that we shared the same dreams. Family became first. One of our first priority was family. We're both very family oriented. And our second was our careers. But then we also knew that we had a lot of other things in common. He had been in the service in Germany, so he had traveled all over Europe, and I hadn't done that yet. So we knew that we wanted to travel. Um, he was interested in cars, and I love cars. We just found that we had so many interests in common, and that connected us. And we
So
thought,
let me ask you this. So let me ask you this. It connected you on the attraction aspect as you guys were, or did this happen as you went out on a date? Where were we in between the two, the attraction and then going into the date? You started to discover. Okay,
right, it was the dating when we would talk about things.
okay,
We also found out we had the same moral values. We were both very spiritual, very religious people, and that was important to me because I wanted somebody to actually believe in God and follow a lifestyle that God would want. And I knew he was a very good man. He
okay.
actually had been married before and had a 2-year-old son, and I had to consider that too. But I fell in love with the son, and I became his mother. Mark doesn't know his other mother, he only knows me. And so that was a big thing, too, for me to go into a relationship with a man that already had a child, and I was 22 years old. That was a big decision. But I was so inspired by this man because he had taken on the responsibility of being a father, you know, because his wife was a little unstable and she
Mhm.
left them. She just deserted them. So that made me admire him even more. There was just so much about his personality that attracted me to him, but also through our conversations, I knew this man was genuine because being authentic and being genuine is important to me too. I don't like fake people. I
Awesome.
want somebody that really.
Authenticity is extremely important. Randy, I'm not sure if I'm getting feedback from your microphone, if it's up a little loud, but I keep hearing a lot of feedback once you
Mm,
talk and then I come behind you. And I'm almost certain it's coming from your end. So we're going to work on that here in a little bit. Maybe your
okay.
mic is up a little loud, but we're definitely getting feedback. But let's try to see if we can get that correct. And we're going to go into a commercial and see if we, because
Okay.
I don't want to keep getting that feedback. Can we do that? Let's go into
Yes.
a commercial. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to show a clip about a movie. We'll show a clip about a movie real quick that's coming out or that's out now. It's on the Win Network, and then we'll come back right after that.
Yeah.
It's so nice in here. I am ready, okay? I know this is supposed to be about therapy, but this is about to be a nice little getaway.
May I have your attention, please?
This is the retreat I was telling you about. I can teach you a few things.
Oh, hell yeah.
You are all very blessed to be having your therapy sessions conducted here by Dr. Williams.
I am Dr. John Williams. Welcome to the Playhouse. You're going to experience some things over the next couple of days that are going to be mind-boggling, but you will never leave the same.
What's so special about the playroom?
Some say it's haunted.
This is weird with this presence.
What kind of doctor are you?
This is a healing session, and you're going to leave this place free.
Hey, well, we hope you guys get a chance to go to the Win Network and see John Wynn's Playhouse. That movie is amazing. You're going to love it. I went to the private screening, and oh my God, the Playhouse. It's about a relationship coach that brings these couples to a mansion, and there's so many twists. So go to the Win Network if you have not already downloaded. You'll be able to see John Wynn's Playhouse. So, Randy, we were talking about the dating aspect, but I hopefully we got your mic turned down or so. But the attraction, the dating, and then we're going to go into the next part, which is what I call the disappointment stage. What when you look back over, what were some of your disappointments, would you say? Because you guys lasted 47 years, but in 47 years, as you've already stated, there were some highs, there were some lows, and I'm sure there were some ups and there were some downs. But early on, what do you recall?
Hmm. I'll talk softer. Maybe that'll help with the
Okay.
feedback. Honestly, he never really disappointed me. The only time that I was maybe upset with him is I had an opportunity to go to Egypt to teach English as a second language. And he was very much opposed to that because he couldn't go. We couldn't leave the house for 3 months. This is after I retired from teaching. And so he was really ugly about that with me. But I kept having these dreams that I was supposed to go. There, and the voice seemed like it was a voice of God. So I
Hmm.
went in spite of my husband and my son telling me they didn't want me to go. So, and he told me that he would not be here when I got home, but I knew he would be because I knew he loved me. And he met me at the airport when I came home after 3 months with a yellow rose. That was our yellow rose was our symbol of love. So, but other than that, I really can't think of any time he disappointed me. He was, listen, he was my savior. I was a very shy girl. I
Okay.
had an abusive father who made me feel ugly and unloved. And Bill became like my earthly savior. I mean, I called him that because he made me feel that I was beautiful and I was worthwhile. And he supported all the crazy dreams that I wanted to do. So, how could someone that supports you like that ever disappoint you? Like I said, the only time that we really ever had any problems was when I wanted to go to Egypt. And I was destined to do that, and it changed my life. I became a writer because of that.
That is amazing, actually. And I think that those of you that are listening, and we've got those listening today on Facebook Live, thank you so much. And there were those who listened tonight on 87.9 Heat FM in Charlotte. Thank you. And then some of you will catch us on the Win Network as you watch us on television. But for those of you that are listening, there will be some disappointments and you have to just take those disappointments and go. And so in this dating process, she talked about many years later's her disappointments, and so she was able to scave through her earlier years without having that. But that's not going to be the case for everybody. So if that is not the case for everyone, just know that there will be an attraction, there will be a dating, but in that process there will be some disappointments. But then also Randy came back and said her husband, she classified him as her savior. You know, that's what she classified him. So I'm gonna use that next D. So I got A is attraction, B is dating, C is disappointments, but that next D would be stability. But you know, you want to be in a situation where it creates some stability. Would you agree with that, Randy?
Yes, definitely. Um, we were very stable. I mean, you have to be stable to last 47 years, you know.
Yeah.
Uh, we shared enough interests to keep us together, and our differences made us interesting to each other. Like I said, he restored old cars. Believe me, Reggie, I have put in more engines in antique cars than any woman should ever have to do. Uh, but I learned to do that. And he's gone to all the live Broadway musicals that he hated so much. He would go and he didn't like any of them, but he would sit there beside me at the Fox Theater and try to enjoy them. So we did things for each other that, maybe weren't our love, but we did it because we loved each other.
Now you just mentioned something that I think is extremely important, um, because in relationships is give and take. And we talked about the disappointments, and I want to make a point here. I want to share something with our audience because you can't give power. So a lot of times there are negative situations will arise, but whenever a negative trait comes up, don't give the power to the negative trait. Don't give the power of what we call the power of recognition. You know, do not strengthen. So don't strengthen your weaknesses, strengthen your strengths. That's
Yes.
very important. Don't strengthen your weaknesses, but strengthen your strengths because there's a mind, there's a mind inside of you that never forgets anything. That's how powerful the mind is. So you got to start recognizing your divine intelligence and stop reminiscing on what we would say past failures. So that means there will be some disappointments, but don't continue to stay there and continue to remain in those past failures and mistakes and mishaps and even some wrong choices that created the disappointments. So what am I saying here? I'm saying you got to accentuate the positive and accentuate the affirmative.
Yes.
Very important. Accentuate the positive and eliminate the negative and latch on to the affirmative.
Right.
Okay? That's important if you're going to be in this dating process. I'm going to say that one time: accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative, but latch on to the affirmative. And that last process is the commitment. You gotta decide that you're going to be committed to make the commitment. And Randy, you all lasted 47
Yes.
years, so there was a solid commitment there.
Yes, I think we were even closer the last 5, 10 years of our life than we were the first because we had learned so much about each other. We had truly become one, I mean, in our spirit. And I could read his thoughts, he could read mine. And when I watched him pass away in the hospital bed, it was devastating to me. In fact, after his death, I've never been depressed in my life, Reggie, but I was devastated. And, I'm always this positive person. I smile a lot, but I felt like half of me had died with him because we were so close. And that's when I became a coach because I thought I have to move on. And I wanted to find another way to help people. I've been teaching students, and then I was writing, and all my writing is always motivational. And I thought, I promised Bill on his deathbed, because he knew he wasn't going to make it, that I would move forward. And I wasn't doing that. And I thought, I have to keep my promise. So now I'm now a visionary um, book writing coach and a master editor and helping people tell their stories. And so I found a new path for me, and I'm hoping that Bill's up there proud of me saying, "Thank you, Randy, for moving on. I knew you could do that." I still miss him every day though, When you love someone as deeply as I love Bill, you never get over it. And you want to hear something really crazy? I've had 45 marriage proposals since he died. Isn't that insane?
She said 45.
Yeah.
Wow.
But you have to keep in mind that some of these are crazy men that aren't lying, and then they propose, and then they say, "What country are you in?" So
That's a
the legitimacy of their proposal is not really so valid,
there's
you know.
there's no legitimacy there whatsoever. Um, I want to take another break here, and then we're gonna come back. I want to ask you some other questions, but I want to take a break, take another commercial, and then Randy, we will be right back. I want to talk about some other things here. Okay.
I am Ernest L. Thomas from the Waldens, and you need to download the Win Network app now, or else it's gonna be tragic. Tragic!
Hey, so listen, if you're in the Jacksonville area, there's a salon there. We call it the best beauty salon in Jacksonville. It's the best beauty salon in Jacksonville, and it's called Bloom Salon and Spa. They provide skin, hair, and nail services. It's a full service salon, and the owner there is Sama Bashiri. She is the owner, and she has 20 plus years experience in this industry. She offers one-on-one consultation. She wants to empower women and make you ladies feel extremely special. So while you are there, you can even get a facial from her. Give her a call today. She can be reached at 904 440 8908. Again, that's 904 440 8908. And that is the Bloom Salon and Spa there in Jacksonville. That's the best salon in Jacksonville. So if you're in that area, close to that area, get by, pay her a visit, give her a call, let her know you've seen this ad on Reggie's Recess, and she will take care of you. So, Randy, I got a question for you. How did you know your husband was the one?
Okay, well, honestly, he was once I got to know him, and that took a couple of weeks, he was everything I was looking for. He was kind, intelligent, had this great sense of humor. Sometimes it was a little bizarre, and I actually miss it. I would get angry with him sometimes because he would tell some of the worst jokes, and I go, "Oh God, Bill!" But he kept telling me, "One day you're going to miss my jokes," and I do. I miss them so much. He was very mature and responsible. As I said, he had a son, so he had to be hardworking. He was handsome. His smile always warmed my heart. And as I said earlier, he was always supportive and encouraging in me. He was open minded and what I would call a true gentleman. My husband was and when I would call him a nice guy, he goes, "Don't call me a nice guy. Nobody wants to be a nice guy." And I said, "I'm sorry, you're just a nice guy."
Those are all amazing traits. And you that are listening, those were a lot. Gentleman. He was kind, gentle. So, it's what's funny, Randy, is some women say they like hard men and bad boys.
Yeah.
Some women like the
Not
hard
me.
and what they call bad boys, but you said he was kind and gentle.
He
And,
wanted to be
people like, yeah, people like what they like, and where we can't, we have a preference. But even if they are a bad boy and considered a hard man, one of the attributes that can still come from a bad boy is being gentle and kind.
right.
So he may have a bad boy appearance, ladies, but you still want that gentle and kind trait that still comes from him, because that bad boy is just an image. But really, what's inside of him, you want someone who's gentle and kind. That's very important, Randy, what you said.
Yes.
I have
He
another
wanted to be
question.
known as a bad boy, but he wasn't. He could have
See?
never been a bad boy.
It's really
He
just an
was
image. It really is. And some people try to go beyond to create so that their image is actually who they really think or they say they are, and they do bad things. But inside of each and every one of us, there's still that gentle and kind. I don't care how bad somebody, there's still something gentle if we're able to tap into it. But if your individual is not able to tap into it, and that bad boy image is everything that they are and everything that they do, really, is that someone that you really want to have as your mate? I mean, you got to think about that. I have another question for you, Randy. When did you discover that your goals were similar?
As I said earlier, within a few weeks, we would seriously, I was one of these people that I always wanted to have deep conversations. I mean, as a teacher, I could ask questions and I'd ask him the right questions, and he always gave me the correct answers or what I wanted to hear. Let's put it that way. Maybe not the correct answers, but what I needed to hear. And I knew he couldn't fake them because I could tell, because remember, face to face, you can look into somebody's eyes and know whether they're just giving you a line of bull, you know what I'm saying? And he didn't. He never did that. He says, I can't lie. I have to tell you how I'm feeling. And I said, yes, and that's what I like about you. And there were some answers that maybe, weren't exactly what I want, but at least he was being honest with me. For instance, he said, one of the things that attracted me to you was that you were going to be a teacher, and I knew you'd have good income for the rest of your life. Well, it's okay. I mean, that was an honest answer. How could I get offended by that? He also said he knew that I would make a good mother to his son, Mark. And so he was looking for certain things in me. And I was looking for a man that I knew would support me, that wasn't going to be this macho man, that we were going to be equal partners, that I wasn't going to be dominated by him. And I knew that's not who he was. He wanted to be, he wanted me to shine as much as he did. In fact, I think probably I shined more than he did when he would introduce himself. He goes, I'm Randy's husband. And I would always laugh. Instead of saying, not Bill, I'm just Randy's husband. And he was okay being Randy's husband because I was always the crazy one doing all the unusual things out there, taking us to Africa and going in hot air balloon rides and petting lions and playing with cheetahs and all the things that he would never have done. But that was Randy's, that was what I loved to do.
I think when you say doing things that we would never do, we will end up doing things that we would never do when we do things that we understand that makes our mate happy.
Yes.
And when you have the
Yes.
right mate, you'll be willing to sacrifice things that you would
Yes.
not do because you know that it's going to make her happy and put a smile on her face. And
Yes.
that's really important. And so, ladies that are watching this right now, this is what I want you to do. Those of you that, and men as well, ladies and men, I want you to do this. If you're watching this right now, I want you to take out a piece of paper, and I want you to write your I want you to create 3 columns on that piece of paper. The first column is going to be your deal breakers. And then your next column is going to be your deal makers. And then the last column is going to be your absolute non negotiables. Okay. So you don't have to finish it today. You can get it started, but write down your deal makers, deal breakers, and non negotiables. This is going to help you in this process in the coming weeks as we're talking about this dating process, because once you begin to see it, you'll begin to say it. And once you begin to say it, it'll come into your subconscious. And then your subconscious will begin to run with that into your conscious, and you become a conscious individual as it relates to what you want. Know what you want in this dating process, because May could be a very good month for you. It can bring some May flowers. This is a good time. Spring flings, May flowers. So you got to know what you want. Randy, I got another question for you. Do you think that people only typically focus on their similarities and ignore their flaws?
I think when you're first dating, yes, I do. I think you want to find things that you have in common with them. And yeah, look at some of these women that get messed up in these horrible relationships with men, and they marry them. They've obviously ignored their flaws. I mean, serious flaws like mental and physical abuse. So I do think we want to find the similarities. But if you don't approach, if you don't recognize the flaws before you get married and learn to accept them, say, this is, like you said, these are non-negotiable things, or these are things that I can live with, then you're going to end up in divorce. And Bill and
Yeah.
I did not want divorce. He had already gone through one divorce. And I'd never been married. He didn't want it. He says, when I marry again, it's going to be for life. So we were very sure, even though it was only 6 weeks before we got engaged, that 6 weeks we spent a lot of time together. Because, like I said, it was the university setting, and we got to know each other very well. And I knew his flaws, and he knew mine. But we made an agreement that we would learn to accept them. And if there was something that each one of us did that we didn't like, we would tell each other, I don't like when you do that. And we would try to work through that. But I think a lot of people today really don't try to do that. They wait until they're married and they've got kids, and then they realize, I can't be with this person. So then the children suffer because they separate and get divorced. People need to examine the entire person, the good, the bad, and the ugly, before
That
you get into a permanent relationship.
so true. So true. We got Pittsburgh joining in, Randy. You got people in Pittsburgh joining in this conversation. I also see someone in Orlando who happens to be a good friend of yours in Orlando
Sophie,
without saying the name. She's joining
sorry.
in. So you want to say Pittsburgh, Orlando, thank you for joining in. Um, but it's going to be hard to focus on the flaws if you don't take notice of what it is
Yes.
that is something that is not in agreement with your stance. What isn't a fit for you? The only way that you'll know that is, again, take the time to write down what are your absolute non-negotiables. And an absolute non-negotiable is something that you just refuse to
Right.
put up with and you refuse to live with. And yes, that's your choice. If you decide that's what you don't want in your life, by all means, you have a right to decide that. So write that down. Your deal breakers are something that you know it doesn't work. Absolute non-negotiables is something that you just totally refuse. Deal breakers, something that you may see over and over again and again and again and again, and you don't want that. So you don't want to not notice the deal breakers. Here's what we do a lot of times in regards to deal breakers. We compromise.
Mhm.
We compromise, and then we end up being in a relationship that we knew we shouldn't be in because it was a deal breaker from the beginning. But and then as we got into it, it was a deal breaker, but then it also moved into being an absolute non-negotiable. But because you bend it on a deal breaker, now you see the absolute non-negotiables and you're in it, and now you don't want to be in it. Now let's go back to the deal makers. What are your core values? Do you even know? Take some time to discover what are your core values so that you can find what it's going to take to accentuate your core values and to empower you, and you guys empower each other where you complement each other and you're not competing against each other. What's your core values? Okay? Your deal makers. What are your deal makers? The thing that that stimulate your mind, stimulate you mentally, even physically, even emotionally, even spiritually, and financially. There's no romance, they say, without no finance, right? So the old song said, no romance without finance. You got to have a job if you want to be with me. So if that's important to you, you want to write that down. Deal makers, deal breakers. Randy, I know I gotta get you. I gotta let you go. So, how can people find you if people want to reach out to you? Maybe somebody's working on a book. Maybe somebody want to hire you to do their editing, some coaching. How can people find you? Give them some information for you, Randy.
Okay, well, the best way probably is my email. It's randyteach@yahoo.com. And Randy is spelled, as you can see there, RandiTeach@yahoo.com. I also have a website. They could comment there. It's randydward.com, as you can see in the bottom there. But it's better to contact me on my email account, and then I can share my phone number with you, and we can talk about possibly working together to help you either write your story, because you may have difficulty doing that, or if you have a story already written, I can help make it perfect. Remember, I am an English teacher. and I know where every comma goes and doesn't go. I can correct every fragment, every run on. I am a crazy English teacher, but proud of it. So your book will be as perfect as I can possibly make it.
Full disclosure, you all, full disclosure. Now, if you're reaching out to her, please don't try to propose, okay? She's already had 45 of those. She doesn't need any more proposals, okay? So, full disclosure. Full disclosure. Randy, it's been so much fun having you. I want to ask you before I let you go, Randy, is there any advice? 47 years, we've talked about the process, we've talked about things that people should be doing now. Any other advice you want to give before I let you go?
Yes, in every relationship, it's very important to listen before you judge. Okay? Listen to what the other person has to say. Take a deep breath before you say something you're going to be sorry you say. And as I said earlier, never go to bed angry because you'll wake up angry. And just try to accept the person for who that person is. And if you can't, then you do not need to be in that relationship. Bill and I loved each other. As I said, when he passed away, I felt like half of me passed away with him. And I'm in the process of rediscovering who I am and rebuilding myself. But love is an amazing thing if you find it with the right person. So keep searching and don't give up.
Wow, Randy, I think that right there, that love is an amazing thing if you find it with the right person. That is so, so good. And, because I hear so many times today where women and men were saying that we don't want to get married anymore because of the outcome of what we see, you know, um, divorce. The divorce rate is as high as it is, but it can be an amazing thing. And Randy's a living testament to how great it can be. 47 years, but you have to select the right person. On the top of that paper, you all that you've written on, here's what I want you to put as well on the top of that paper. Say, my next move has to be my best move. If it's not my best move, it certainly won't be my next move. Okay? Put that on the top because your next move has to be your best move. And if it's not your best move, don't make it your next move. Randy, thank you so much. We appreciate you for sharing with us today. This has been a lot of fun. And thank you for taking the time to be on Reggie's Recess.
It was such a pleasure. Thank you, Reggie.
You're very welcome. Listen, you all, I want to talk to you about possibly if you ever considered being a sponsor. I want to show you how you can be a sponsor for Reggie's Recess. It's very simple. I have 3 levels of sponsorship. You see there, I have a silver level, I have a gold level, and a platinum level. With each level, there's something that comes along with it. So we did the one man woman tour. The one man woman tour was all about empowering women. We did that 2019. It was an amazing thing where we empowered women in so many ways, and so we want you to take a piece of that with you. We have merchandise from the one man woman tour, and with each level, you get a piece of the one man woman tour. If you come in at the silver level, which is $100, you get a one man woman tour T-shirt. That's at the silver level. If you come in at the gold level for $250, you'll get a one man woman T-shirt and baseball hat, a matching baseball cap for the T-shirt, whatever color. We have 2 colors. You get a black or white. And then if you come in at the platinum level, you'll get a one man woman T-shirt, baseball hat, book, and workbook. Those are the T-shirts there. You got the one man woman V, and you got the one man woman, what they call the tanks, and some people call them beaters. So you get that matching hat or the beater with the tank. Okay, so pick a level, come in as a sponsor, and we also have something for businesses. If you want to come in as a business, we will do a PSA for your business, and you can contact me for more information there. Go to onemanwoman.com. As you can see there, if you just want to get merchandise, go to onemanwoman.com and just say, hey, listen, I don't want to be a sponsor, but I want to participate some way. Let me just go to the website and get some merchandise. Or you can go to creggierogers.com, and we will be more than happy to talk to you about being a sponsor if you are a business. So this month, we're going to be talking about the dating process. Mayflowers. I've got some great guests coming on. As you can see, Randy was an amazing guest today. Next week, I've got a great guest, very well known. She's doing a lot in the world, life changer. My guest next week is going to be Juju. She has her own show and she is an editor for a magazine, Thrive Magazine, I believe it is. And she's doing so much. She does a lot with Shark Tank on television. So she'll be my guest next week, and we're going to continue on with May Flowers, and we're going to continue on with the dating process. Okay, the dating process. I'm going to take one more commercial. We're going to go back to our PSA, and then we're going to come back and we are going to close. I'm going to go back to our PSA, and then we're going to close out. I'll come with closing remarks after this. Okay. Again, the best salon in Jacksonville is Bloom Salon and Spa. They provide skin, hair, and nail services. This is a full service salon. Sama Bashidi is the owner and has 20 plus years experience in this industry, the beauty industry. She's excellent. She offers one-on-one consultation and she wants to empower women and make you ladies feel special. While you are there, you can also get a facial. Give her a call today, 904-440-8908. And again, that's the Bloom Salon and Spa. Thank you, Bloom Salon and Spa, for being one of our sponsors. We certainly appreciate you. So we're going to close out today, but I want to close by saying simply this. Dating is a stage of romantic relationships whereby two people meet socially with the aim of each assessing the other's suitability as a prospective partner in a future intimate relationship. While the term dating has many meanings, the most common refers to a trial period in which two people explore whether to take the relationship further towards a more permanent relationship. There is a dating process. Don't put the cart before the horse. Therefore, you're going to mess up the process. Follow the procedure and the process. Know what it is that you want. Know what is your deal breakers. Know what is your deal makers, and know what is your absolute non-negotiables. This will help you along in the process so that when you meet the individual, you will have all the right questions to ask. And we'll talk about some questions next week to ask so that you can see if it's a fit. I got to give a shout out to our super producer, Steven Sebo. This is another Action Shot Productions. So thank you guys for joining us today. We will be back. If you want a video, if you want a documentary, if you want a movie, whatever you want shot, make sure look up Action Shot Productions in association with Connoisseur Entertainment. We'll be back next week. You guys have a great rest of the day.